As you are continuing to breathe in and out, and you are holding, and you are seeing, and you are feeling what is coming out in your heart, here is the very important part. And this is something that you can do every day. You can even do it several times a day if there's a lot of emotion here. I want you to see, or if you want to say, visualize a very pure light. What you imagine is a blessing. What you imagine is God. What you imagine is spirit. To understand it, I want you to visualize this pure, beautiful light. This is the kind of light that, in your country, when you say Mary is with you, or Mary has blessed you when you are with child, or when you have given birth. I want you to visualize, and I want you to remember that feeling every time someone says that in your language. Is a feeling that brings deep hope, that brings deep love, that brings deep joy. And that is one of the most powerful medicine that we need at this time. So through all of what is coming up, what I want you to continue focusing on is that feeling of that deep love that your people have had for thousands of years. And I want you to feel that like a light in your heart. So continue almost like a lighthouse. I want you to see that beautiful light continue to surround you and fill you up like a bubble, almost like you are a star in the sky and you are shining that light. All of this is based on your faith, on your love, and your experience of love. It's a very simple way, but it's a way of us also connecting at a deeper spiritual level to light what needs to be lit and to bring more love and compassion into a space that needs profound healing and profound grace. So, again, with this feeling and with this deep emotion, no matter how much the negativity is, it may try to consume you, but I want you to continue pushing it out and shining, visualizing that light in your heart as bright as a star in the sky, remembering that this light is the same light of love that you have found through your faith and that your people have found for thousands and thousands of years. And I just want you to continue focusing on your breath as you are visualizing this and doing this. Okay. So as you were doing this, as you were seeing that light glow bigger and bigger and bigger, you can stop once you feel full. And you can set the intention that the work that you are doing, and this is a very simple technique. Like I said, you can do it once a day. You can do it anytime you feel the heaviness become too overwhelming, and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you have experienced because it will work for you if you do it sincerely. I just want you to set the intention that there will be a way found for your people to rise through this conflict with dignity, with love, and in a way blessed by your understanding of God. And then you can just kind of rub your hands very slowly over your eyes, you know, and just very slowly come back to a space of normal attention. That's all you need to say, and then we can move to the Q&A. Okay. Yeah, that sounds fine to me. As I said, this is going to be new for everyone. But that is okay. I want you to take a little bit of time to also process, and you can always find me on Twitter or Instagram. Just look for the Sky Priestess if you've got any questions about this. So we can, if anyone wants to share their experience of doing this, or if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Okay. Okay. The only thing that I would say is the most important power that all of us have, as I said, it is the power to choose what we do with every breath. Is that breath going to be one that brings hopelessness? Or is that breath going to be one that brings not even optimism, but faith? And that's your choice to do. And people are trying to take that choice away from you. but it is your choice to fight this. Obviously, it is a physical war, yes, but it is also a deeply spiritual war. And it is your choice to do what you will with that breath in your body and with the light in your heart. I did actually, I wrote this brief prayer, and and again, this would apply to all religions. So I'll just close this particular practice with this. Bless my heart, O Spirit, God, Creator, who is beyond all negativity. Renew my spirit and faith, born of love and fierce compassion for all, including myself. Let me be blessed by your presence in every waking and sleeping moment of my life and in all moments in between. Let me be blessed with the grace of your spirit, the light of your being. Amen. So, you know, you don't have to translate that. Mhm. Okay, go right ahead. Hmm. Yeah. Yes. Mm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. 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 So now I hear what you're saying. I mean, in fact, I did. I mean, I'm very well aware of what's happening there. I actually started a small campaign in my group to write to the UN Prevention of Genocide Office, detailing how the very specific patterns of rape in Tigray were the most definitive expressions of genocide. I've also been writing to UNESCO about the cultural devastation that has happened. I have even been doing work in reaching out to the heads of the Orthodox Church and to the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople and various other churches to raise them of the awareness of what is happening, which also includes the devastation of religious buildings, the rape of and murder of nuns and monks. So see, this is the understanding that I'm trying to impart here. Body, mind, and spirit are all deeply interconnected. All right. Now, you can and will find a place where you will have more psychosocial therapies that you can, I mean, one conflict is eased and abated because you cannot really be talking about managing trauma once whilst a person is still living under the threat that this could happen at any second and any day. That is completely unreasonable to have that expectation. Healing in a definitive sense can only really happen once you are no longer in that situation of absolute survival. Point that needs to be put across. See, I can tell you many different types of therapies, physical interventions, herbs, different practices that you can use to also help a person heal. But all of that is not going to get through if one part of your brain, the so called reptilian part of the brain, is still worried for its survival in a very existential by day moment. So, what you're asking for, it isn't the wrong question. It's just that we can't even talk about that yet, simply because the risk of this happening to anyone in what is probably the most vulnerable population in the world right now, the risk is still there. So we have to look at what we can manage. Now, would I say therapy would work? It really depends on if you go to a psychologist or something, does that person have the training to deal with people who've gone through this level of trauma? Does that person understand what is going on? Can you afford a talk therapist? Can you find someone in your vicinity that can talk to you? All of this really depend upon having a bubble or a space where that is even possible. So at a physical level, as I said, this is why I focus this more so on the spiritual aspect of things, because spirituality doesn't cost money. It doesn't cost money. It doesn't need anybody. It is something that I mean, even scientists are beginning to understand the power of meditation, the power of visualization in managing anxiety, PTSD, a lot of the psychological symptoms, and a lot of the different types of trauma that come up. But what these people need, the ones who have been the most abused and violated, in fact, I was reading this particular piece someone had shared on Twitter today of a woman who resisted being raped, and they pulled her eyes out and they tore open her stomach. Is meditation going to solve that problem? No, it is not. But it is something that anybody can do for themselves, even if they are in the most desperate situation. And that is why I would suggest this. Now, in terms of healing a person's emotion and psyche, the most important thing, whether it is for a woman or whether it is for a man, the most important thing is to work trauma out of the body itself. And that is something that, for example, if one was in the United States, one would go and try and find a body worker or a trauma release specialist. But again, the situation there is just too raw to even, people don't even have basic medical supplies. These are all more advanced things that you would have a specialist come in to provide once they were able to do so. And once someone was not in that existential level of total anxiety, being on edge, not knowing what is going to happen to them day by day by day. So, what I have done here with this meditation is just a very simple way of managing the immediate moment. It is not deep and therapeutic healing. There are many other meditations that can be done. There are many other therapies that can do this. But you cannot do that in an active conflict zone. That's not reasonable. Whereas this is what you can have in your hand, and you do not need to depend on anyone for it. Other things that will definitely help are community based interventions. As we were talking about in the very beginning, simply that people need to come together. They need to come together and they need to, whether it's physically or whether it's through words, they need to speak to their own people with compassion. If you alienate these individuals who have experienced the worst of this violence, if you alienate them, they are only going to sit with that toxicity and malice in their bodies. So, on the one hand, what can you do now? What can you have in a situation where you don't have access to food, you don't have access to medicine, you have access to love, you have access to care, access to compassion. But people need to be put into a space where they are reminded that that is something that is within their power to give in the first place. You know, I mean, I like what Gabriel Pascal added to what I was saying, that it's not about religion, it is about spirituality. It is something that any human being can do. But that is how I know it's not the answer that you're looking for. But in all practicality, the situation is not one where you can heal. There's no point putting someone through the healing process, which in itself is deeply traumatic. In itself, the healing process is not an overnight situation. It is something that can take years to fully process. You cannot open up someone at that level of trauma to a full healing process when it is still dangerous for them and the people around them. Does that answer your question? That's okay. Bye, Ravi. Mhm. Okay. Can I say some? Can I say something? Oh yes, yes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. No. Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I am grateful even for that interjection. I'm not sure what the gentleman's name is, but I'm grateful for his interjection because he's not wrong in what he's saying. He's not wrong because, in his idea and in his perspective of religion, there is only one way to do things. And that is his right to follow that. But this is the thing. Right now, when your society's foundations have been ripped, this is a time where each one of us need to reach out to spirit in new ways. And this is where each of us need to have our hearts open. But one of the things about connecting with your spirit is that you will also trigger and challenge parts of yourself. So I know this will be very new to a lot of you, but I want to hear from the people who actually did the meditation, and I want to hear from what their experience of it was. And if you felt nothing, that's fine. If you felt something, okay, we can talk about that. Now, I completely understand that for people who are used to this, they're going to be like, but our sisters are dying, but this and that. And it's all very true, yes. But at the same time, be also aware that unless you yourself have experienced sexual trauma, you don't know what that pit is like. Unless you yourself have been through that experience, you are looking from the outside. But when you are in that moment and when you are in that space, that light inside of you is what will save you. And whatever I'm saying, to be honest, to be perfectly honest, even if we look at the history of religions, I mean, the understanding that we have of Christianity has been many, many times it's been reformulated and reformatted. But, in fact, there's even a prayer that was used 2000 years ago. An ancient Christian meditation was discovered within the same faith. But it's that people are just now remembering that there were many dimensions to faith that they have forgotten because of so many different things. And Orthodox traditions, some are very resistant, like the gentleman who was speaking, to anything that is quote unquote new. The meditation has been around for several thousand years. Now, people are beginning to see the value and the merit of simply learning to connect with spirit in different ways. At the end of the day, your goal needs to be love and healing. And if your goal is not love and healing, then honey bunny, you're not talking about spirit. So, that would be my position on this. And I would be really happy to hear from people who participated in the meditation just now and who have who want to share their experiences of it. Because right now, this isn't about me. This isn't about, needing to defend this or that. This is about igniting a spark of consciousness. And Gabriel Mescal has taken a big risk, I understand, because he knows the people and he knows what people are expecting and what they're not expecting. And I must give him 1,000 thank yous and 1,000 credits for being willing to hear, being willing to listen, being willing to participate. Because that step into the unknown is what is needed right now. Because if everything that you have been following has been sufficient, has been, enough to handle all of the trauma, then why are we having this conversation? Something new has to come. That is the thing. Something new has to come because the situations and circumstances for which these religious practices were devised did not take this into account. And in fact, I am in correspondence with another a monk at the Tigrayan Orthodox Church in Melbourne, and I have his blessing to do my work. I made sure I got that blessing from a member church before I did anything because it is very important to have that respect for the culture. So let's take some questions and some experiences from people, and let's see. The more you feedback to me, the more I can give you specific information on how to apply this in X, Y, Z situation. Philosophical discussions and debates do nothing for healing the wound of someone that's literally had it ripped in half. Let's talk about specifics. Tell me your experience, and we can talk about what we can do more practically. Start from experience, especially those who just did the meditation. You are most welcome. I'm glad that worked. Uh, okay. Okay. I got it. Don't worry. I got it. I got it. I Okay. Okay.
You know, try to forget things that happened. At least, but not. It's not. I also pray. When I pray, I get relief because most of the time, prayer gives me relief totally. I also exercise. Exercise, maybe not yoga, but I just try to exercise. So this may be a solution, you know. So as a may have other solutions.
Okay.
It will
Now, I'd like to interject here because what I'm noticing in your commentary and also the commentary of the gentleman before you is that what I'm hearing here is men policing women's voices and experiences, which is precisely the entire point of this entire video. You neglected that Samira had basically said, "No, I'm open to this," or the other lady who spoke who said, "I've been doing this since I came back." And I actually went and spoke to those rape victims. You are talking about policing a person's spiritual experiences. In fact, both of you are trying to police my speech on I have been invited here to speak on what I know and have made it very clear even during the process of this, if you do not want to participate, you do not need to. It is deeply disrespectful to a speaker to invite them and tell them that they are not supposed to do their job. And I would like to point out this very hypocritical policing of women's voices in this space, whether it is to me or whether it is to the other women who have spoken. My question was very specific. If you did the meditation and you had an experience of it, please share that. Because as Gabriel Mescal has already said, we were very specific about what we would cover today. There was even a write up on my background to show that this was the area that we would be focusing on. And by you distracting the point and constantly trying to say, well, we don't do this and we don't do that, honey bunny, that means you cannot even expect to go into a hospital to take medical treatment. Because when a doctor does surgery on you, your eyes are going to be closed. Are you going to say, no, I have to have my eyes open because that is the way to be done? No, you're not. So I would respectfully advise people to stop nitpicking and to look at the heart of the matter. Spirituality is about your choice and your free will. As I said, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. This is an example. You can adapt this. If you want to do this meditation, if you want to do it, go right ahead. And if you want to do it with your eyes open, with your eyes closed, it is perfectly fine. That is, if you're using this as a point, that means your focus and my focus thing. So I don't know why you are speaking in a space when our goals are not appear to be in an aligned fashion. It is not just Ethiopian Orthodoxy, but other Orthodox churches in the world have also taken a look at this and gone, hey, maybe there is something that we can adapt and we can learn from. And if you're not willing to learn from, but that gives you absolutely no God given right to police the speech, especially of a spiritual woman who is donating her time to come and show you something that you may not be aware of. Now, I apologize if this retort is crossing lines, but I do feel that this policing of women's voices needs to stop.
Thank you so much, Dr. Um, you is very correct. In the sense that when people as a product of personal experience, then they are no prepared with a specific or specific method. Because not just randomly, it had a topic. And the topic clearly says that spiritual management of correct related trauma and the topic provided explicitly in the announcement. The notice that available. And at the beginning of the session, I have briefly introduced who our student is. And I am the name. I am underlined that it is as was purchasing, increasing, and new label. Because I know as I see the community is to understand as a person who is an approach myself, I know how people like that. So I was thinking that she is not teaching us anything. She is teaching us spiritual way of handling trauma. Whether political or animal or meditation, whatever, changing my body. And keeping our eyes closed or open, she's telling us, she told us, if that's going to take for her, that's totally alright. Quote, equal, I remember that. I was translating to people, and she asked me to tell the people what they have to do or not to do before we proceed to the topic of session. So it seems anyways that they don't speak in your eyes to represent ourselves. You know, in my life, I said this, and when you show this disease, how do you recommend me to be, you know, to manage this? How can I understand this now? That's the one we should ask. When a speaker teaches, I'm aware of handling of trauma, then we ask the speaker, how can I understand this? How can I process that? How can I handle that so that I benefit from everything? And hesitate to ask the speaker. And now,
Mhm. Mm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. I agree. Mhm.
زي اللعبة يا مان. حق حق هذا تبعتي حاط أنا هو عندك تحدي شيز articulated مالك يعني مالك well managed well being and I just I had yeah already posted.
Hmm. Right. Okay.
But I'm sure many of us will gain from her guidance. And we are not here saying she's teaching us most